Hey, it's Sick Boy from the Gaming Anarchist, and welcome to the Gaming Anarchist Collective podcast. Today, as always, we've got Mr. Sam. Mr. Sam Explains. How are you doing there, Sam?
Hi, I've been great. I've been watching Bob Ross all day.
Exciting stuff. And I guess we've got it today. Very pleased to see we've got Main Event. How you doing?
What's going on, everyone? How y'all doing today?
Yeah, doing good stuff. Just do a quick kind of housekeeping bit. Just go around the table to see just quickly what people have been playing, just to get a bit of perspective of people. Sam, what about yourself? What have you been playing this week?
I've been playing 20-Year-Old Simulator by going out and having a social life for once.
Fantastic.
It's quite,
I know what it's like, yeah?
it's quite a scary game, actually. It involves a lot of Jägermeister and jugs of fat frog.
Actually, that sounds right up my alley, actually.
Sounds pretty damn superb.
It's probably why I'm sick. I just recovered from having a stomach bug and a head cold, and I'm just like, let's go drinking.
It's good. That's how do you swab a wound with alcohol? It's a good idea. It'll kill the infection.
That's right.
That's true, but I think Jägermeister can also be used to put tar, used as a form of tar to put on ceiling panels.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised. You Germans are funny.
It's such a weird drink. Never has something been so nasty and just so nice at the same time. I don't know what it is. It's just appealing, but it's horrific.
I hate black licorice, but I love it so much.
What about you, Event? What have you been up to recently?
Just playing a lot of old school games for the gameplays, for the let's plays. I've been just finished Walking Dead. I'm getting ready to play The Last of Us since the fans have voted that's what they wanted to see next. So I'll be playing The Last of Us very soon. And other than that, like I said, just a bunch of old school games. Also, playing Dragon's Crown as well. I'm gonna do some online streaming for the fans. Got a lot of ladies coming out from the fan base that want me to play with them online in the PSN. So we'll see what we can do with that.
That's nice. I don't think we're getting that until over here till like end of October or something. It's ridiculous.
The game is worth it. It's incredibly drawn. Sells the shading, the cells, the animation. The way it's just done, just for a side scroll, beat 'em up side scroll is really well done.
Yeah, I've seen of it. Like the graphics. I know there's been a lot of people talking about the design and everything, but the graphics style is superb.
I'm playing with the sorceress just to piss people off. Everyone's like, oh, the sorceress, she's so the sexual innuendo with the sorceress, and she's so exaggerated. I'm like, exactly. That's exactly why I'm going to play with her, just to piss everyone off, so that everyone can say that I'm a sexist. I'm like, okay, all right, we'll see.
It's mental.
Let the comment section begin.
Yeah, so personally, I've been having a go at Killer is Dead, which is pretty good.
I'm waiting for the complete edition for that.
Yeah, I got the special. I got a good deal on the special edition.
Okay.
So it's pretty good. Again, it's pretty much like standard kind of Suda 51. It's more kind of like the design and the tongue-in-cheek stuff over the quality of the mechanics. It's all right. It's better than it's got better kind of hack and slash than like Lollipop Chainsaw, and it's that like kind of step up from that. But it's still flawed, but it's fun.
It's been getting a lot of bad press from from the West, obviously, because they're just like, oh, we're so sick of really Japanese things now. Pack it in.
That gigolo mode is really funny.
Right.
It really is gonna upset some people because it's got like you get a mode like with the special edition you get X-ray glasses which you can unlock later in the game, and the whole point is to look at the woman's like chest or like groin while they're not looking at you to try and build up a meter so you can give them gifts so you can get extra weapons. It's this weird mini game, and then you can get X-ray vision, so you can just like see people in their underwear. It's like, why have you done this? It's like, unless you're like laughing and going, this is so funny, it's like either the most misogynistic thing ever, or it's really funny, and I'm not sure which it is.
How is it compared to No More Heroes? Like the hack and slash element.
I'd say it's a little bit better. And I think it's especially because that annoying, like we were having to recharge your controller every few seconds and stuff like that. It's pretty responsive. It's certainly more responsive than Lollipop Chainsaw was for the same kind of control style.
Okay.
But it's still that little bit of there's like that delay because you've got a counter button, and it's that kind of you've got to press it. It's not really kind of, again, it's the same thing. There's that kind of lag, the input lag. So it's not like immediately responsive. You've got to press it kind of before the animation starts. So it's got that kind of like It has, yeah. Someone just put, yeah, it sounds like a 90s image comic, and it kind of is like a 90s image comic. It's exactly what you kind of expect from a Suda 51 game. There's one scene where you meet this guy in this ridiculous outfit, and it's like golden codpiece, and then he's like, "Why should we fight?" And he's like, "Because it's an action game. And it's what the fans expect." I was like, that's kind of cool. I quite like that. I quite like that. Just kind of like joking around. It's like, imagine what the gamers is like. Gamers are really judgmental. If we don't have a fight now, people are going to get really upset.
Yeah, right. I mean, and the thing is, sometimes you don't even need a script. You don't need a reason. Just put them out there and let them fight.
Yeah.
That's all you really need.
I'm going to fight a ridiculous man in like a golden thong and a massive sword, and then that's on the moon for, he's like same with like Killer 7, just obsessed with the moon. Yeah, it's totally weird. Anyway, so get on to the topics here. First off, I just thought it'd be nice to have a bit of a rundown on the impending console war, because that's fun, and everyone's going on about it. And I'm sure you're pretty good with it. Like, it's all kind of out of perspective. The whole thing's it's going crazy now, and it's going to get worse. So it's going to be pretty funny if you can sit back on the fence and just let people go crazy about it. Because I mean, you saw yesterday they've announced the Xbox launch date.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Was what, the 22nd, I think, of November.
Yeah, for here anyway.
Everyone was kind of going over here in the UK. We're going crazy because it was released ahead of the PlayStation, and it's going to get everything on the market. And then I put out a tweet going, "You're aware that this is like a week after the PlayStation comes out in the US, aren't you? Like they haven't got like a massive advantage. They're just coming out a few days earlier in one region and a few days later in another region. And in fact, they're only coming to 13 countries anyway." Which is like, wow, for all the people especially a lot of like people from generally around Europe are so pissed because like countries like Norway, Switzerland, like Netherlands, who have lots of money, lots upwardly mobile, all buy tech, and they're like, why can't I have it? Why can't it come to like Norway and Sweden and like Switzerland?
I think it was very unfair that Microsoft decided to only have a certain amount of countries. Like, oh, we'll just have it for these regions, and the rest of you're just gonna have to, wait. And I'm thinking to myself, so what you're pretty much saying is they're not gamers, that they're not, the other regions aren't worth having the Xbox. And it's like, I don't understand what Microsoft is doing here with having these type of, we're going to exclude certain countries when it comes to our product. It's like, no, when you're coming out with a launch date, you want to try to get as many people as possible, regardless of how bad the Xbox 360 did, say, an example, in Japan, as opposed to anywhere else. You still want to, cater to that, those fans. You still have fans over there, regardless of the numbers. People still want to buy it, especially if you're confident in your product. Because that's what this is about, right? You're supposed to be confident in the product that you have, so why wouldn't you make that worldwide release? I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't get it, because they even said, like, major markets. It was like, right, so, I mean, you've just given up. You know that you've just given up in Japan. You're just not going to win Japan. Microsoft's just accepted. Well, PlayStation are going to dominate all of Asia because they're not bringing it anywhere outside of like Europe, Central and South America.
Yeah.
Apparently, I thought it was quite funny because one of the few countries that actually have like with the languages for the Kinect as well. Was it 8 languages? I think they're doing. One of them is Portuguese for Brazil, but they're not actually releasing in Portugal. Like, that's genius. That's pure genius.
Mustache twirling going over on a Microsoft.
Oh, we spent our time implementing voice commands in Portuguese, yeah, because Brazil's got a lot of money, but yes, there's lots of gamers in Portugal as well. What the hell?
I actually heard a conversation going inside Gaming's channel. They were talking about, do you think that this console generation will be like the last one, like before they start just forcing out PC and all that sort of things like that? And I would just say Nintendo are going to make consoles forever, but Microsoft maybe not so much.
It's possible, yeah. Companies like Nintendo might continue with that niche, and it might become more of a niche thing. Whereas consoles used to be like the only game in town, and then kind of like PCs, kind of like rising and falling. Right now is on a big high, but I reckon like with the distribution mechanism changing, with things are going to go more digital in time. As long as people, just people need to be vocal about saying, I want good value for money. I'm not paying $60 for a game I'm renting for 6 months. That's no good to me. If I can, I can play it and everything. It's absolutely crazy. It's like, I don't see the point. I mean, I've got stuff on Steam. I've got stuff, I've got, and I've activated some of my old games on Steam. So like, I've got System Shock 2 on Steam. That was what, 2000 or 99 or something.
it seems that a lot of my friends also have decided, like when they were looking at these consoles that are coming out, they were just like, we're just going to build a PC rig and we're just going to get together and play that way and just, land it out. And I'm like, okay. It seems like the industry, I think they're taking too large of a step. Even though we're advancing with technology, I think they're using it in the wrong way. I mean, for a number of, almost about the previous year, we've seen even with the Kinect, the Xbox is still trying to make it integration with, the person staying on the network and the TV and things of that nature. But we've seen videos already where people have taken the Kinect and have used it for surgery and have used the Kinect for helping people who are blind be able to locate items when they're walking down the street or down a hallway or something. Like, these technologies can be used to help soldiers and, with, postpartum depression and things like that, and postpartum stress syndrome and things of that nature. And it seems like Microsoft, if they were smart, they would take that approach with the Kinect as well. They would actually throw more money towards those things. So if you do want to say, look, these are the pros of what the Kinect can do, because all we keep hearing is it's spying on us, it's watching us. You know what I mean? Like, you can't have a certain amount of people, where the Kinect is because it won't let you play a certain game or because it recognizes everybody. But they're not highlighting anything positive about the Kinect other than you can watch sports. It's not good enough.
Only if you're in the US, by the way.
Yeah.
Although I also don't get kind of why they're not licensing out the tech to use it for like high security regions, like in embassies, airports. Then it's like, there, look, you can tell people, you've got heart monitors, you can tell if someone's like anxious, you can see their bone structure and see if it measures up to their physical size. You could do those things for like, it'd be like Total Recall, people going past. You could utilize that tech for that kind of thing.
We do have some stuff already here in the airports like that, especially in Vegas. Like, they have body scanners now that
those
straight through your bones. But there's been a lot of complaints about that as well, about privacy complaints. And sometimes you can volunteer to already just go through it, to save people time. If not, they will pick you out. So they say it's random, but they'll pick you out of a lineup pretty much and make you go through. So there's been a number of problems with that too, with the TSA.
I've seen random post 9/11 US airport security. It's like, are you foreign? Did you pay with cash? Is it a one-way ticket? Right. 4 S's on your boarding pass. Sorry, sir, can you come over here? Because you fly to go to New York for the day. So, you come over here, we're going to question you. It's like, why? Because you're foreign and you paid in cash.
It's pretty scary. I mean, right now, I can't tell you how many times I've been going underground, like, to get on the train, and people are just like, they get freaked out because there's someone who has, like, who's Muslim. Like, just because that guy over there is Muslim doesn't mean he's a terrorist. Like, what the hell? Calm down. And like they freak out so badly around here, like even walking near the Liberty Bell here, like if they say, because there's a certain street you cannot even walk on, a certain part of property, and if you do, like they'll aim their M16s at you already. They don't care. Like it's pretty intense around here for no reason. Like nothing's happening here unless there's some threat levels that they're not letting us citizens know about. It's pretty, like the citizens around here are just like, I don't care. But when you start pushing, that fear, a lot of people start looking at each other and just like, hey, wait a minute, like something's not right here. So
I think it's one of those things. I suppose it's like, it's kind of off topic, but it's kind of like with like the US is like a massive superpower. It's kind of like not the one big superpower which you guys have been for like 60, 70 years, and now it's kind of like, okay, we need reasons to keep everybody kind of happy, and right, we're all afraid. There's bad people coming for us, and we're the only good guys. So be afraid, be patriotic, and all stick together.
Team America, World Police.
Yeah, pretty much. Even though we're a superpower, it's still scary to see that we still don't have certain things that you people overseas have, such as healthcare and things of that nature. Free healthcare and there's a lot of things that I see around here that really need to be fixed. But like every time someone tries to bring a law up, it gets downvoted so quickly it doesn't even matter. Like they really don't want to help the people. It's pretty much, it comes down to what they can benefit out of it, and then try to spin it as in, oh, we're doing it for you, and it's like, but you're not.
Kind of sounds like an early Weimar Republic going on a bit there.
I would not be surprised. You'd be amazed how many protests are out here a day. Well, it's just ridiculous. And even with the protests, like, who the hell needs to have planned protests these days? Like, you have to have a permit to protest. Like, what? Like,
isn't the whole, like, you've got a constitution based on you're allowed to have guns in case your government gets on your nerves, and now you can't protest unless they let you.
Yeah, you have to schedule a time and a place, and we want to protest this building. All right, well, we have to let the building know that you're going to protest them. Yeah, so they can know not to be there when you show up. You know what I mean? Like it's ridiculous. It's a joke. Yet they do this. It all goes for nothing pretty much. I'm waiting for the riots. To be quite honest, I'm waiting for anarchy. To be quite honest.
Yeah, well, we had ours, and people were stealing like sweets
and basmati rice and getting famous.
Yeah, basmati rice and, like, loads of like Haribo jelly, like literally people were like stealing gummy bears and stuff from shops when we had those riots. It was the funniest thing. Literally like a few miles from where I was, one of the high streets was like massive, it was a big riot, and then someone was caught on camera, this big, like this morbidly obese woman with like a big handful of gummy bears. It's just like the dumbest thing. Oh, it was so funny.
Out of all the things, I mean, look, at least when they steal stuff here, it's like DVD players and stuff like that. It's just looting. I mean, but gummy bears, really?
Yeah, literally, like this woman's like you see him like stashing them in her bag. Like someone else got done for like, it was like stealing bottles of water from a store or something. It's like, what are you doing? These people all got caught because they used all the CCTV we've got here, and most of them were like put in prison for like 2 years for like stealing gummy bears. It's just like, what? Well, that's what you get if you're gonna do something that stupid. If you're gonna do proper like civil disobedience, do it properly.
Have you seen
like,
Have you seen the guy who's like full on like that at the bag of basmati rice, and he got like 3 years? It's like Tesco value rice as well.
If you're gonna steal something like that and get for 2 years or whatever, at least that's a necessity. You have people out here who are doing crimes and killing people and raping people, and they only get like a number of months. It's like, so in your case, they're getting like 3 years for stealing gummy bears, as opposed to the rapist who is raping somebody who will get like 6 months with probation. That's ridiculous. Like, I don't
you get people who like abuse kids would go away for less time than that.
Yeah,
it's weird. I think it's more like, oh no, hang on, if you're messing with someone's money, oh okay, you've messed with someone's money, now we're gonna get you.
Yep.
Did you do something against someone I don't care about? Ah, well.
It's not a big deal, yeah.
That's why all this copyright crap, that's why this whole SOPA problem is kicking all over the place. And they're like, we can't have people streaming songs or things on the internet because then, what? What are they going to do with, like, next they're going to stop or ban all karaoke? or like buskers? Or, like, what? People are going to, like, perform stuff?
I think this SOPA, right now that it's come back, it just proves that the people's voice they don't care about. I mean, how many times do you have to say no? How many times do you have to tell, downvote and say, look, we don't want this, or make an outcry about it? I mean, just to bring it back, we'll just revise it and bring it back. No, we don't want it at all. And yet they keep doing it. It's like they don't care about what we want, or, just the general public want. They're worried about who's in their pocket, or, all the companies that have, because if you look at the list of like people who support SOPA, it's like there's so many companies that are in support of it. And it's just like, that's who they're worried about. They're worried about big business. They're not worried about, us just sitting around saying, no, this is wrong. This infringes on our rights. We have the right to do whatever we want like this. They're trying to lock down the internet as much as possible. And it's sad because when you go back to the 90s and you look at the internet, it was like when we all had we had America Online and stuff like that. Like, we didn't even have trolls like back then. There was like a designated spot just for trolls, and that's where they went. So you didn't have to worry about people, messing with you online. You didn't have to worry about it. Now they're everywhere. They don't care. No type of, everything's anonymity.
Yeah, they got stuck out in this whole idea of freedom of speech, and like I'm all for like free expression, but there's a difference I think between saying something or even saying jokes that someone doesn't find funny. It's like, that's fine. You want to make a joke that I don't find funny? That's your call. There's a difference when you're like abusing someone.
Didn't someone get a sentence over Twitter in the UK for making a comment about a girl that died?
Yes, that was the guy. It was Robin Hood Airport. A guy said on Twitter, I've just had my flight cancelled. You've got 2 weeks to sort your shit out, otherwise I'm going to blow the place sky high. And he put that out on Twitter. And then afterwards, like, lol, huh? And they reported it, they arrested him, they took him to trial and everything, and it was on like whether he made a credible terrorist threat. Because he made a bomb threat against an airport. And it went through, and he then got prosecuted, and then it was this whole thing where people were raising money to like appeal it. It's like, yeah, I get it, it's a stupid joke, but at the same time they'd have known in like 5 seconds if they'd have like gone to him and they gone, oh, actually he's got no history, he's got no intention, we've interviewed him, absolutely fine. Even if they said, right, well, we're going to follow you for the next little while.
Well, here's the thing with that. it goes to show you when people say things like that, it's a prime example of a company or a higher power not listening to someone else. I mean, how many times do you have to say, excuse me, I have a problem. Excuse me, here's a problem. Hey, can you please listen? There's a problem, to something extreme like, if you don't get your shit together, I'm going to blow something up. That's what gets their attention. But it's never anything before that. So it's like they don't listen until you do something extreme. And that's why we see all these terrorists like, oh yeah, we're going to blow shit up. That'll get your attention. Then you'll listen to us because they've been, talking and talking. You've just been ignoring it, ignoring them the whole time. So, it's just like almost like a shared responsibility. But of course, when something that bad happens, everyone's going to have the finger pointed at somebody. Just that, and that's it.
Well, someone's commenting there about Facebook status. I did notice in the news recently somebody put on in the US on Facebook saying the US is a police state, and then within 24 hours the FBI called him up.
Oh wow!
Called him in for an interview and said, "Well, you've got a choice. You can come in for an interview, or we're going to come and raid your house and take all your stuff." So he came in for an interview. They brought out a printout of all of his Facebook updates, all of his accounts, all his emails, like all of his family and friends information, and they sat and they interviewed him. He was like, "Well, that's great. Why would you?" What I don't kind of get is like, if you are doing that, why are you letting people know? If someone says America's a police state, and if you're watching it from like the NSA, wouldn't you just go, okay, best stay quiet, because then no one's going to know that I've read that. No, rather than go, yeah, we've read it. We read what you said. We're reading what everyone says.
We're going to bring freedom and democracy to the internet.
It's just sad to see it happen. And you know what? Like I said, it's not going away anytime soon. And we'll probably beat our heads against the wall to death before anything actually comes from it. So, as far as I'm concerned, every time I see it, and this is the reason why I don't really watch the news on TV, because I have a tendency to yell at the TV when I'm watching the news. So I kind of get all my news from the internet at this point. The real issues they fly under the radar. And for example, we just saw not too long ago, like Ben Affleck was casted as Batman, and the internet exploded. All right, and then it was like, Sopa's back, and everyone was like, I don't know what you're talking about. It's like it just flew under the radar. Like it was minimal talk about Sopa, but Ben Affleck being Batman was like a big deal.
You know what's really funny? Because of the time difference, I woke up to the Sopa thing, going like, oh, there's the Sopa thing, and then everyone was talking about Sopa, and then by about maybe 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning your time, Ben Affleck's going to be Batman, and everyone's going, Batfleck! Like Daredevil, and I didn't like Geely. I'm so pissed. Like, your rights to like stream any copyrighted material anywhere online. It's like you remember the times where you could like record cassettes off the radio, when everyone used to do it all the time, or VHS off the TV, or copy cassettes and stuff. It's like it's suddenly a new thing because we've got the internet.
They just want a piece of it. That's all it is. It's all money.
I don't know a single person who bought a mini disc with an actual album on it.
Oh wow.
Everyone just like bought them blank and just recorded them off other people's CDs.
And you know what? This all started because of Metallica. That's what this started from. Damn Napster and damn Lars put on and tried to sue them. And he's like, yeah, they tried to, I found out all our music was here. And he was like, well, what were you doing? Downloading music? Like, guy, like, you were downloading music.
Have you seen the episode of South Park? It was like, when you download music, you're denying Lars Ulrich his pool of solid gold.
That's it's like, here's Britney Spears. Because of these downloads, she wanted to buy a Gulfstream 6, but because of this, she has to buy a Gulfstream 5. It doesn't even have an onboard DVD player.
That's what this comes down to. It's all about money, and unless they can find a way to tax it or get a cut of it, they will try to do it like early prohibition every time. That's all it is. So same thing with video games. They'll try to tax. Just not too long ago, they tried to tax violent video games. It was like, really, like, and listen, unless they can get a piece of it, they're going to keep saying it's bad for you, it's bad for your kids. Well, we all, as gamers, we all know. It has a rating system. You shouldn't be buying your 8-year-old Call of Duty anyway, or God of War. You shouldn't be buying that stuff for your kid. But parents don't care. But when something bad happens, they'll be the first to point to the video games and not the bad parenting or, it's crazy. I just don't understand it. We've been doing this for years, and every year we see this. Every time a Grand Theft Auto comes out, here comes all the reports. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Do you know, we had a thing when I was 7 years old. There was a little boy. murdered horrifically by a couple of 7-year-old boys. Like a little toddler, he was like horribly murdered. It's horrible. Like they tortured him to death, and they'd seen the film Child's Play.
Okay.
And they all of a sudden it was violent films. Violent films are to blame for it. Violent films, and it was on and on and on and on. Violent films, and then at some point in the last 10 years, it goes from being violent films, then violent music, then it was rap and Marilyn Manson and everybody who says anything that might be controversial, and then all of a sudden they've ignored all the rappers, because now all of a sudden that's all fine. Now it's video games that are evil.
Even back in, I believe, with the early times of comic book ages, with Superman, Spider-Man around, they blame them. Stan Lee did an interview not too long ago, was saying how, when they started, doing, X-Men and all those, how they were getting a lot of flack because they were like, oh, superheroes aren't real. It's especially Superman. It's inspiring kids to try and jump off of roofs and try to fly, and I'm like, come on, like you gotta be kidding.
Didn't they ban vampires? Comic Authority, because I think that's why they came up with Mobius the Living Vampire, because they had to like, oh god, the comic book code says we can't have vampires. So, and that's why, like in the 70s, there's this big, all the Dracula comics all came out, because for years and years they were like, we can't have vampires. Okay, why not? Okay, well we can't have vampires. We can have werewolves. We can have demons. We can have whatever. We can't have vampires because that's I don't know. It's gonna give rise to Twilight or something. I'm not sure what the whole problem is.
Now everyone loves pretty vampires that sparkle, so
yeah, that's okay. Vampires sparkle now, so it's
I have a dark secret.
I don't know why people aren't going that we should ban the vampires because they're clearly paedophiles out after your kids. Because that's isn't that what like Twilight is?
6 years old, and they're going after teenagers.
I just don't.
It's like, dude, you're like, yeah, well over 100, and you're hanging around a high school for like a 15-year-old girl. That's creepy.
It's Edward Cullen. That's what I love about high school girls. I keep getting older. They stay the same age.
It's just sad to see how quick government officials. Okay, we get it. They're outdated. We know this. They're out of touch with society. And I think that's why we see a lot more now. Government officials try to do like talk shows and try to be amongst the people because they're trying to reconnect. And it's like, but it's a little too late for that. Like, this is your role. You should do this. Like, no way should I be seeing government officials on Jay Leno or anything like that. It's like, because I'm thinking to myself, there's so many problems with either your state or your country. I don't want you to be on a talk show and joking it up. That's time that you could be sitting at home and trying to think of, way that you can fix problems.
We had one of our serving politicians go on our version of Survivor. During the time, anything like left Parliament and then went off to be on I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here. And she ended up, she was fired, which was at least something. But like she was going, yeah, I'm going off to do this reality show where they make you eat like kangaroo testicles and stuff like that. And it's like, what? Why are you doing this? You're a professional politician. You're not a celebrity.
Because the kids will love it. The kids will love it.
Because they'll be more noticed. And that's another thing. You couldn't pay me enough to eat kangaroo testicles, okay? You could not pay me enough for that. So to sign up willingly and say I'm going to get some fame for this, be like, oh yeah, what? This is what I got to eat? Yum. No, not happening. Like, I don't understand it.
I saw Joe Rogan say a thing about when he first saw the thing about Fear Factor, and he was like, they're not going to let us do this. There's no way this is going to happen. Then he said, like, that's what I understand. It was like 5 years later, I'm watching a woman eat with a mouthful of kangaroo dicks, and I'm going, come on, you can get more in there.
You don't get to eat tonight if you don't.
Like, how are they getting us to do this?
It's crazy to see just what people will do, whether it's in the spirit of competition or just for fame. It's crazy to see how many people just need it. Like, when I get on camera, I don't think about fame. I don't think about any of that. I turn on the camera, I go at it, and that's it. And you can ask anybody who's talked to me. They're just like, wouldn't you want to be famous? I'm like, hell no. Like, do you see what celebrities really go through? Like, they can't even go outside without, like, 15 people, like, taking pictures of them. I mean, the one guy jumped on Britney Spears' car and was taking pictures of her windshield. Like, couldn't do that.
I'm happy with my life. I don't need that. I don't need that.
Don't need that at all.
Oh, so, there's a load of people making some good comments in the thing here about the killers. Playing Super Metro doesn't make me a galactic bounty hunter. My favourite one here, though, just to say, is playing Final Fantasy 13 does not make me a hallway. That is a superb comment.
reason, and that's the thing. When I was at Otacon, I saw a shirt a kid was wearing with his dad, and it said, "Just because I play violent video games doesn't make me a killer." And it was nice to see that. And his dad, you know, he was taking the kid had to be about maybe 14, 15. His dad was in his like almost probably early 40s. So it was good to see that, you know, parents. There are some parents out there letting their kid, you know, voice their opinion, you know, and they do trust their kid. But the problem is, we don't see that enough. You know, we don't see parents taking responsibility and saying, I'm letting my kid, you know, he or she, you know, have their opinion, but still trying to guide them in the right direction to realize that these violent video games are, are just, you know, they're just games. It's fantasy, and that's what it's supposed to be, because we're not supposed to be in reality when we're playing these games. We're supposed to be in fantasy. We're supposed to be getting away from the world. If I turn on my game and all of a sudden I'm a Roman warrior, well, damn it, that's what I'm playing right now. You know what I mean? It doesn't mean just because I'm killing people doesn't mean that I'm a killer. I mean, we've seen wars way before video games have come along, and what was the excuse then?
I'm not sure what video game Genghis Khan was playing before he just like decided to like, get on a horse and just like roll across Europe.
You know what? This makes sense.
I just don't understand the entire fight against video games, other than they've run out of things to complain about. And I mean, there's a lot of things to complain about, but you know, it just seems like the media, just for some reason, they have almost like a designated section just to do this. So,
it's anything that makes kids crazy or anything that gives you cancer is just like gets the media going crazy, and I just take stuff like completely out of context.
Well,
I mean, I don't know, that story with that 8-year-old in the US was like, he was playing Grand Theft Auto, 8 years old, with a 96-year-old woman and had a loaded gun, and everyone's blaming Grand Theft Auto.
Don't blame the loaded gun, that's easy to get to.
Don't blame, I mean, I know that there could be a 96-year-old, there are 96-year-old women who could look after an 8-year-old fine, but clearly not this one, because like, and why has he got a loaded gun? Like, that's...
Why was it so easy to get out of? Like, there's no way.
It was his gun, apparently they gave it to him as a gift.
Jesus. Who gives an 8-year-old? Look, when we were 8 years old, the only guns we had were either Nerf guns, water guns, and to a higher extent, cap guns or like BB guns. To give an 8-year-old a real gun, like, that makes no sense. And now they have simulators for this now. Like, the NRI put out a simulator to try and teach people for kids. I believe it was 6 years old and up or something like that. 4 years old? I forgot what it was. But they made a video game after trashing video games. Made a video game, you know, to
teach the actual child safety game thing they made.
Yeah, and it was like, and then they got forced to up the age limit on it. But it was just like, it was ridiculous. And like, even Billy Graham, his son, when he was talking about violence in video games, he came out and admitted that he got his first gun at 9 years old. It's like, I would have never thought about holding a gun at 9 years old. That's crazy, you know. But I guess it's different times or wherever you live.
I heard Philip DeFranco say it's just anything to make a sexy title sort of thing. Anything to make it pop more. So just like, boy shot his grandmother, blame video games.
Yeah, everyone's...
Was it even his grandmother? I don't think it was.
I have no idea.
I think it was actually like someone who lived in the trailer park.
Oh,
again,
God.
yeah, trailer again. Like, okay, so a child in the trailer park with a loaded gun and Grand Theft Auto, and you think that the game's to blame?
Yeah, right.
I think somewhere along the line, those parents have failed that kid. At least like one level.
And the thing is, no one's blaming the parents. No one ever blames the parents. Ever. We've seen, there's plenty of video on YouTube where parents, I remember the one video I did, the girl didn't even know how to put on the headset for the video game. And the father was playing Call of Duty, and apparently there's a guy talking a lot of trash to him on the other end. But like, she puts on a headset and he tells her, curse him out, and she just goes off, dropping all types of N-bombs and cursing him out, and I'm just sitting back like, so I guess we're going to blame video games for this as well.
Yeah,
like,
blame Activision, because it's ridiculous. I don't get where this culture has come from. This like childish like culture. You can just do whatever you like and just be as rude as you want and horrible to other people and just go, no, because internet, because of free speech. It's like, yeah, you got free speech, but I've also got free speech to criticize your free speech.
Yeah.
Or to say that was threatening. There's a difference between, like, if I say something, that's one thing. If I'm saying I'm going to go punch you in the face, then I'm threatening to punch you in the face. That's not free expression.
Yeah.
That's a threat. Granted, because you're doing it someone's doing it as a keyboard warrior thousands of miles away. It's not a threat I'm worried about, but, you know, there we go.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, and it's sad because, like I said, back then, like when you had fanboys, and there's always been fanboys, but even back in the generations when you had Nintendo versus Sega, even when you went to an arcade, it was always, hey, I like Nintendo, and someone's like, hey, I like Sega. It was like, all right, well, that's cool. All right, that's cool. Let's just play games. That's all it was. These days, it's, how dare you not like such and such? I'm going to kill you, and I'm going to rape your mother. And it's like, where the hell did this come from? Like, I don't understand it.
Where did you guys play Xenogears? What?
I understand that there's passion in the community, but there's a fine line between passion and stupidity.
Yeah.
And it seems like others they don't understand where they cross that line. And a lot of people like say, "Oh, I'm not a fanboy. I'm not a fanboy." And then you hear them talk. It's like, no, clearly you're a fanboy. Like if you're alienating yourself from games because it's on a certain system, you're a fanboy. It's that simple. And a lot of people do that. It's sad to see that games don't either sell well, or I say sell well either because they're on a certain system, or because or this company backed it. Because I don't like that they have ties with, this company or that company, and it's like it's ridiculous. Like if they've done something to offend you, it's different. But if you're not going to play a game simply because it's on an Xbox or Nintendo or whatever, that's absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand that. You're taking games away from being successful because of that, and it seems like this generation in particular, it seems like the companies and the developers are not trying to build smart gamers, educate gamers. They're just trying to see who's on their side. And so they know who they can milk and who they can just pander to, as opposed to last generation where you got quality games, you could say, okay, this developer proved its worth. This is who we can get behind. You don't have that anymore, it seems. It's kind of sad.
It is. I mean, I've always kind of like used the rule of thumb for fanboyism. If I can say something negative about something you like that's a genuine thing, and you just go, yeah, that doesn't bother me, then that's like a thing. Like if I like I know a lot of people like, so you got a V for Vendetta show, yeah, that I really like that graphic novel. Somewhat overrated. If you were like, fuck you, I'm gonna come through that camera and kill you to say, how dare you speak about Alan Moore's work? I'm gonna shoot. It's like, yeah, Alan Moore's a bit of a dick actually, and they're like, what? Like, yeah, he is. Sorry,
he is.
He even like had a massive problem. With he wouldn't even allow, like with Watchmen film, I thought the Watchmen film was actually pretty good, and he hated it just on the principle that it was made.
Well, it was because here's the thing with Alan Moore, because they messed up League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
God, that was
yeah, he's when you go back and you look at some things like From Hell and stuff like that, he was just like, oh, it can never be done. And then when I saw Watchmen, I was like, Alan Moore needs to show up and watch this film. I was like, this is pretty good, for what they could have made it.
Yeah, I even think they improved it by taking out, the giant sort of like giant tentacle squid, the giant space squid.
I understand.
I get why they took it out. It made more sense for a film.
Yeah, but I did want to see it just because I could be like, giant squid. That's all.
It's all right. We've got Pacific Rim now.
So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed Watchmen. And it seems like Alan Moore still will not watch it. And it's like, okay, if that's his thing, that's his thing. And he is, like I said, he is a dick, But there's certain people, they're allowed their opinion. But it's like when I talk about certain games, I cannot tell you how many people I have been jumped on. Don't you talk about Pokemon, or don't you talk about this? I'm like, really? Like, come on, guy. Like,
they're paying for they're charging you for online cloud server storage to store your Pokemon now. Shut up! I really well, fine, you like Pokemon. I'm not gonna pay for cloud storage for my Pokemon.
What you don't like, Mega Blastoise?
It's not the only way you can get the Mega Evolutions. They are just that's proper fanboy trap. That.
And that's the thing. It seems like fans will defend. If they're such a big fanboy, they will defend anything. And it's sad because it's like if you're going to defend anything, then you'll fall for anything. And when you try to talk to them, they can't be reached at times. And it seems like we're seeing more and more numbers. People will be upset at a company for something they did until a shiny trailer comes out, and then they forget everything. They just forget everything. It's amazing. Like with the Xbox, for everything that they did when they started with this stuff, and then people backlashed against it, and then Microsoft was like, okay, we'll take away all these things, and then you'll buy it, right? And people are like, okay, now we forgive them. I'm like, wait a minute, that's not what this is about. This is about the fact they thought that they could get you with it, that they could just roll you over. That's what they were thinking. It wasn't the fact that they're saying, oh, we're sorry, because now we know that Microsoft is saying, down the line, we can put these back in.
Yeah,
So
I like that they're talking about, oh, we need to put the share. We want to give you the sharing thing back, and you go, well, you took the sharing thing away because you could have easily done it. It's like I thought of like a couple of ways off the top of my head that they could do a way that you can share digital games. It's like even if it's like, okay, for sake of argument, go on, log into Live, you select your digital game, you send the license for it to somebody else. That game locks out until you go back onto Live and you receive the game back. You do it either as a time thing or they can do that easy right then. Implement it. You can implement it right now on the 360 or the PSN. Don't say they can't do it. Of course they can do it. And that's just like one random way I've thought about. It's like you can easily do that as long as you've got internet access.
Yeah,
you can transfer a license for a game across.
They just don't want you to. That's the thing. Same thing with Sony. It's Sony. Like I said, and here's the thing: a lot of people like to say, "Well, it's just Microsoft." No, Sony has problems too. And it's like they want you to pay for online, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, they're only trying to make you pay for online now because they saw Microsoft make a profit off of online, but it's still peer-to-peer service. So you're still paying for what you already have. And for me personally, I don't like how Sony or Microsoft has gone about things. So it's not like it's just like, oh, I'm just bagging on Microsoft. No, I don't like the way Sony has done things. And here's the thing: when I talk about Microsoft, you're always gonna get fanboys say, "Oh, he's a Sony fanboy. He's only bagging on Microsoft." And then I have to point him like, you do realize I made a video saying the same thing about Sony, right? And then when you go to a Sony video, it's like all Microsoft fans, you know, saying, you know, ha ha ha, you know, like it's crazy.
I like that people come into my. I did a couple of videos on Microsoft about when they announced all the DRM and everything, and then people come onto my stuff going, "Yeah, they don't do this anymore." And I was like, "Yeah, that video is like 4 months old. Why are you coming to me like, yeah, the thing that was news then isn't news now because things have changed?" Yeah, I know.
You should take your
I
videos
also
down.
Did another video saying that they went back on it, laughing my ass off at the statement. Was it Don Matrick's statement, Mr. "Oh, you live on a submarine, that sucks, buy a 360." And he's like, "I'm so sorry that we did this."
It's Microsoft really shot themselves in the foot. And I think that, believe it or not, I think Microsoft is going to come out in the green on this one. I'm hoping they don't, because I want them to learn their lesson. And I don't think they did. They took a little bit of flack for what they did, but they didn't learn their lesson yet, because they're still going, like I say, because the system still isn't out yet. It'd be one thing if the system was out and they were taking it, you know, in the red, they were taking a dive. But now that we're seeing things, oh, it's, you know, they made, you know, they got 200 million, was it, pre-orders? I'm thinking to myself, that's still not enough, you know, as opposed to worldwide release, because you don't have a worldwide release. So you're still taking a hit regardless.
Yeah.
So I'm really hoping that they take a hit on this just to, you know, to learn a lesson. And I hope that Sony also learns a lesson that, hey, don't even think about venturing into this, you know, territory, because we don't need it. I don't understand why we need all these features and all the stuff that we're seeing just to play a video game. I just don't understand that, you know? But for some reason, I'm crazy. Apparently, compared to what people are saying to me, I'm crazy for not wanting these things.
Yeah.
I just don't get it.
I think Sony kind of like the reason that they've, I think, come out on top, I suppose, is because, well, one, people have like gone rabid, but like at the time, obviously, when that RF tag thing came out earlier in the year, and everyone was going crazy about that, and then they just went really quiet, and then just came out at E3 and went, "We're not going to block use games," and then shut up. They haven't said a peep. They've come out and they've said, "Oh yeah, we do 4 controllers," and "Oh yeah, we've actually also got a face and voice recognition camera," and they've said very little really. And Microsoft keep coming out and just shooting themselves in the foot. Their PR's really bad. They come out and they're like, "Yeah, well, if you won't want all these brilliant functions we were going to give you, well then, fine, have an old machine." It's like, well, shut up.
That's the thing, because Microsoft then afterwards said, you know, well, it's not about the graphics that count. It's about the tech inside for great gameplay. I'm thinking to myself, well, then why did you need to make a new system then if that's the case? If graphics don't count anymore, then if going by that logic, we should have no AAA games anymore. Don't spend all the money on Call of Duty. Don't spend on Battlefield. Like, we don't need shiny graphics anymore. If that's the type of thing you're trying to make, knowing that Call of Duty drives shooters, drive the Microsoft Xbox. We know this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I'd like I'd love to have a challenge, just see if they can go into it and go, all right, show me 20 good selling games over 5 million units that didn't need a patch. And if you can show me that, then I'll agree that we need to go on to the next generation. And we're not. Like every big game.
Chris, I think you're
pieces well, like Total War Rome 2, massive day 2 patch because it like the AI is terrible and like it's happening all games now. It's just a case of you're now beta testing it. You're not buying a finished product. You're beta testing a game.
Yeah.
And even especially now with Steam, it's like
Chris, your camera's frozen.
it's not on Skype. I think it's on your computer.
Yeah.
It's frozen on mine too, but it doesn't matter as long as I can keep hearing you guys. I'm good.
Okay, hang on. Let's see if I can just do a quick second. I will. Boop. How's that?
Buffer in.
Still buffering on mine.
I look like really surprised, like I've seen something in the distance. That's coming at me.
Sorry to interrupt you mid thing, but people were.
That's all right. No, it's gone completely.
Okay, it's fine now.
Oh.
You're good now.
Am I good? Brilliant.
Yeah,
Alright,
still buffering on
seamless
mine,
editing after this is done.
Oh! Okay, we're good to go
There
again.
we go. See, there we go. I don't have like facial palsy anymore. Cool. I totally forgot what we were talking about. Oh yeah, something about there's so many games out there. They're all just like they're all day one patches. They're all kind of this like they're all broken. And it's so many big games. It's like, how can you say we're done with this generation? And I love how Crytek were saying this generation's done. We can't go any further because of graphics. And then when they come out with Rise, it's like, so you've got what looks like a QTE game.
Realm of War.
Is this the future of technology that you were talking about? That you can't possibly do that with the 360's tech? I beg to differ. You could easily do that with a 360.
Yeah, and that's the problem. It's like people think that this generation needs to get out quick. It seems like the industry itself needs, I guess, another jump start to get people excited again. But I agree. This generation is not done yet. Neither system, I feel, has been pushed to the limit or of innovation when it comes to software as well in developers. We have yet to reach that pinnacle. And it seems like, I'll put it this, there's been a number of titles that we've seen within this generation, within the span of years, that have been really great. And I'm happy that I was part of this generation. But then when you see how many bad games came out along the line, it was just like really, Terminator Salvation? Really? I mean, do we really need to go there? Like, you gotta be kidding. Like, there's just too many things that just doesn't sit well with me when people are saying they're ready for the next generation when it's not called for. Like, I can see when you look at the PS2 and you look at the PS3, that's a leap in innovation. You know what I mean? So, and networking and things like that, and online play, there's an innovation. Now, I know a lot of people want to say, they're probably in the comments saying, well, Xbox, went live and everything, and they're absolutely correct. Because Xbox did a great thing with the original Xbox when it came to live. And then Sony was like, okay, we don't know what we're doing, we're just going to follow their lead. That's what they pretty much did. And then tried to make their own thing as they went along. But now you're just pretty much getting the same thing. And it's like, especially when you saw, was it Call of Duty Ghost? It was like, then you saw all the problems with it, and then the videos were coming out, how they weren't using, a new engine, and it was just the same old crap.
Did you see all the God rays? They had like light just coming from like random places. They've just got like random suns. It's like some kind of like special new dimension.
I want every game to now have like light streams.
I want games with lights and fish and dogs. That is the future of gaming to me. I love when they were. I've said this before, I know, but like when people are going on and they're talking about the fish move, and then all these people were like, Mario 64.
Yep.
We've had that for like over 14 years or something. That's been out.
It's sad to see, and the thing is, there's people who haven't seen that, because we have younger, gamers now, who have not played Mario 64, and they'll say, "Oh, that's new, it's innovative." And then when you show them that, they'll be quick to be like, "Well, that's old, and I don't want to waste my time playing it." And it's like, no, go back and play Mario 64. It's a really fun title, but people don't want to hear that. All they think when Mario is, it's a child's game. And you know what? I'm telling you now, anybody in the stream that has comments, anybody who thinks Mario is a child's game, go play Super Mario Brothers Wii for the Wii U with a bunch of friends.
No.
You can get through that perfectly and tell me it's a child's game, okay?
Apparently,
go through Galaxy, get all 125 stars with Mario, and then again with Luigi, and then the special challenge maps.
Apparently, like the challenge
Yeah.
maps are like the Dark Souls of the Mario world.
I mean, it just goes to show you that people don't want difficulty anymore. I mean, look, and speaking of Dark Souls, look how people complain about Demon Souls and Dark Souls. And I'm like, no way should you be complaining about that. That's something that you should be able to play. You want a challenge. Why do you want things so easy? I don't understand it.
It is a hardcore title. That's the whole point of it. It's a hardcore RPG. It kicks my ass. That game kicks my ass. I'm terrible at Dark Souls. Demon Souls and Dark Souls, both of them. The first time I played, was it? Demon Souls was the first one, wasn't it? Yeah, Demon Souls. Yeah. And I was horrific at it. I was like, oh, I just keep dying. I can't get through the first level. I get through like 5 skeletons and die. Go back again.
No, shut up. It's fun. This is what
it's
this.
Great.
This
I
is
like the challenge. I like that it's good. One of the games I've enjoyed most recently has been playing Hotline Miami because it kicks my ass. It's really hard.
I just hate there's a difference between monotony and actual like challenge. And like Dark Souls for me was just like you get as much satisfaction as banging your head against a concrete wall, and then when the wall falls, you're like, yeah.
Oh yeah, someone's brought this one up. It's worth mentioning that the Dark Souls 2 beta registration's gone live today.
Yes.
For the PS3.
Nice.
So new PS3 owners want to have a go, and apparently it's a new level that they didn't show at E3 or anything. So that's gone live today. That'd be interesting. A lot of frustration. A lot of people. The negative reviews about Dark Souls are like, it's so hard. It's really hard.
That's all I can say.
Is that a criticism, or would you just say this game? I mean, even the game on the back says "Prepare to Die" on the back. And it's like it knows. It's like it's designed around being hard. And then Namco Bandai came out and went, "We want to make it more accessible." No.
I want to make
Don't.
I want to make a troll review and just say, "Well, the storyline's lacking, I suppose."
And that's what people say, storyline. I'm thinking to myself, I'm not worried about storyline when there's a big ass dragon on a bridge and I'm trying to get away from it. It's blowing fire. It's like, yeah, like, and you have this heavy armor. It's like, I'm not worried about storyline. I'm worried about the target that's in front of me.
Yeah.
But don't.
It's like you have to take on every enemy seriously. You just can't be like, oh, I'm going to mow down everyone like I'm some badass. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, you can't God of War it and just like mash X.
Yeah.
Like,
But don't you want to know the backstory about the dragon?
No, not even a cut. There's hardly any cutscenes.
I know.
Madness.
I hate it when a game just like, here's everything on a dish. This is how it's explained. Now you're not confused. It's like, oh, thanks.
I mean, it just, for some reason, and what's great about Demon Souls and Dark Souls is that when you have the silhouettes of people that died of blood splatters, and when you touch them, you can see all the moves that they did wrong. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, why did you do that? Why did you just go into that like that? It's like,
I love that you can leave like fake messages. People are like, oh, everything's safe around this corner. People troll it like that. That is fun trolling right there.
Or there's a well, and you can say like, jump down here.
It's like, yeah, there's a secret down this hole.
and that's entertaining trolling. That's effective trolling.
Yeah,
like
that's like griefing. Griefing's fine. Griefing's a thing of competitive gaming. That's okay.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind so much unless it's kind of abusive and horrible.
Yeah.
But that's so much fun.
You say it like you've never had a
There was one
Minecraft
thing I
house
think
blown
was
up.
unfair that I think they patched out in the end. There's if you're poisoned. There's sewers. You get poisoned and you lose half your health, and then you die. Obviously, come back with half health, and then you die. They halved your health again and again, and they were like, okay, that's maybe too unfair. Maybe we'll patch that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was totally unfair. People were just getting stuck on that and going, fuck this game. I've got like 10% health and I can't get through this level.
But
that's it, yeah, curse.
We didn't have, like, that's the thing with games like that. That's what you loved about it. It kept you engaged regardless how many times you died, you got mad. You thought to yourself, no, I'm going to beat this regardless how long it takes me, and that's it. And then when you beat that certain part, you felt like you've accomplished something. These days when you beat something, they're like, oh, here's a little trophy, ding, and then that's it. It's like, oh, I got a little trophy. Like, it's nothing. Like, you know, you want to feel some type of a sense of accomplishment when you're beating something, and it seems like these days, not gamers, but developers don't know how to execute that properly, it seems. And it's hard to find good games that can do that. Yeah.
Someone's made a comment that Demon Souls is on sale for €10 on the PlayStation Network.
It's not like I needed money anyway.
Yeah.
I recommend it.
Yeah, it is good. It's one of those games. If you want to like call it a hardcore, it's a hardcore dark ass game. It relies on skill, which is nice. I like to see an action RPG that's not just button mashing.
I practiced on Monster Hunter before I played Demon Souls, so same thing with Demon Souls with Monster Hunter. You have to study the movements of your enemy, you have to know the timing down, so you know exactly how to move, when to move. So it almost becomes a little calculated, you know, almost a little technical.
And don't forget your sandwiches.
Yeah, right? But with Demon Souls, like, I didn't platinum it. I was like, forget this, I'm not sitting around trying to get all these stones, like, I'm not platinuming it. My entire like journey was I'm going to beat every boss, just like old school. I'm going to beat the boss and just say, "Hey, I beat the game." That's it. I'm good with that.
Some of those trophies were insane. They were like really, really obscure, which I suppose is fine to keep the completionist happy. But for me, it's like it's enough to get through it.
I did.
It was. I don't. I'm not going to get much joy out of just like rinsing a trophy.
I did the epic tier engineer achievement in Dead Space 1, which was complete on the hardest difficulty, and then I did the one on Dead Space 3 where you only have 3 saves the entire game, and if you die, you go back to a save.
The only achievement I've got with Dead Space 3 is that I got it through the Humble Bundle for $3. That was amazing. That was the best thing. Like, okay, so I've already got a copy of Dead Space 1, but I was like, okay, so Dead Space 1, 3, Paradise, Burnout Paradise, the Medal of Honor, the remake, the reboot Medal of Honor, not the Warfighter, Populous, Sims 3, all these things, and it was all to charity, no money to EA.
And that's why we got it.
And yeah, it was like it was something like it was like $4.60 was like the average to get all the extra games, and Mirror's Edge I think as well. I was like, yeah, I'll pay that. I'll do that, and none of the money's going to EA. Thanks very much.
I was the one who messaged you about it. I just felt dirty. Yeah. I was like, is he gonna judge me for this one? Or
it's like, money worth charity. I told my little brother as well, and he went, really? I went, yeah. So I went online. He's like, it's got 10 seconds left, and he was like, could you pay for it? Yeah, fine. Just put him another bundle and send it as a gift.
Well, you know, that's another thing. I would like to see more charity work within gaming, and it seems like not the gamers, because we see a number of gamers do a lot of charity work, you know, on YouTube. But I don't understand why it's taking so long for the companies themselves to say, hey, look, let's have a staple just for charity. You know, we're already taking a lot of hits with the media and, you know, games killing people. Let's do something with charity and have this like an annual thing. It's amazing how they can have tournaments and conventions, but they can't have like a day just for charity unless gamers really like come together themselves and do it. Why isn't there some type of structure or some type of tree, should I say, you know, to have this type of thing? There should be some type of platform for it.
I totally agree, because it's like, you know, I've spent years, I've worked in the drug industry for years, and one thing that I know those companies do, because they get a lot of PR flack, way more than video games do for violence and stuff. You know, they get called murderers and they scam people and they test on animals and all these things. But they do stuff like they intentionally go out and they'll like, you know, make like really like they'll make free malaria medication for Africa, or they'll like give out experimental HIV vaccines and stuff. And you go, that's really good. Even if they didn't actually care as human beings, which I think they really do, but even if they don't, it's good PR. I don't care if they don't feel it. I don't care if they don't feel charitable. But if they can stand there and go, here's $50 million to build some orphanages, great.
Yeah, I know.
Great, do that. You'll make the money back in like goodwill.
Yeah, because most charity anyway, like especially here, you can write it off with no problem. You'll just get it at the end of tax season, you know. But it's sad that there's not more you know, of a urgency for it, especially in a time where people really need it. And it's sad to say it because, and I don't want to bring up the fighting game community. I really hate to bring up the fighting game community after what's happened in the previous 5 weeks. But I mean, we just saw not too long ago where the fighting game community was mad because the game was on the 3DS, and they argued, you know, because they wanted it on the Vita, and because of that, they were like, the developers were like, oh, it's not coming there. That's it. And I'm thinking to myself, you took a game away from gamers because you wanted it on a specific platform. You can get together to put it on, you know, the fight over a video game on a specific platform, but you won't get together to stop the sexism. You won't get together to stop the racism. You won't get together to have more charities because, I'll be fair, they have done things for charity. They have. But, you know, when you see things, you can improve on it. But my question to them is, and you had Dark Iver on your show not too long ago, you know, why haven't they got together to stop the 3 guys who left him out in the desert? So you can get together to argue about a game and discredit people and all these different things, but you can't even blacklist 3 guys who left Dark Iver in the desert. Like, I don't understand that.
Yeah, and you know, he got grief for it as well. Just like, oh well, and even if some people, you know, must be like, oh, maybe you did take that $20, and you go, really? Do you really think a grown man's going to be stealing,
Yeah, $20. Yeah.
Don't be ridiculous. Like this is like a grown man in his 30s. He is not stealing $20 from some kids. It's just not.
Yeah, and it made no sense to me. But yet, those guys are still around. And I just don't understand it. Like, it just seems like fanboys in general, when they love something too much, they don't prioritize. They don't realize what's going on, especially when it comes, let's say, there are so many things that video games can do to help people. You know, we've seen, you know, it helps soldiers. We've seen it help the elderly. We see that it helps, you know, your brain, you know, when it comes to motor skills and things of that nature. You know, everyone always talks about first-person shooters. No one talks about RPGs and how it helps you, you know, be able to read. Well, these days they do voice acting, but old RPGs, where you would read, you have to be somewhat illiterate to read what's going on. You know what I mean? So you're improving your, you know, comprehension. There's a lot of games out there that, you know, that help you train your brain, literally brain trainers, and it seems like they don't get any credit whatsoever, you know, for coming out with these things. It just seems like all the good things and all the technological, the innovative things that we've seen in the previous couple of years, it just doesn't get enough credit. And it's just sad to see that this is where games is going. For me, this is where I feel it's just sad to see where games are going, because Call of Duty will sell millions upon millions. Battlefield will sell millions upon millions. You know, but Catherine, yeah, people have already forgot about it. Yeah.
I have a brother.
Catherine is awesome. I think the funny thing is as a lot of people consider the story really puerile, but I've got to say that from like it is a really good like coming of age kind of like story for like the pitfalls of being like a man growing up and like that kind of like getting stuck in too much in childhood. And not, you know, it's actually a really thoughtful story. It's actually really good, despite the fact it's, you know, got, you know, the women trying to eat you, kill you with their butt babies and stuff, which is weird, but it's like the story in itself is actually a really like mature story, despite what people say about it. Like it's actually really well written.
Yeah, and you know, a lot of people were worried about it when it came out and was like, oh, it's going to be a very taboo game, and I'm like, no, it's not. I'm sure you've seen movies that are a lot worse. You know what I mean? Like, it's like I just don't understand it. It's for some reason it seems games just get so much flack for no reason, and then on top of it, I mean, you have so many problems with the industry. You have a lot of people think it's a boys' club. Then you have like I said, you got the racism, you got the sexism, you have people with disabilities who are always left out. You know what I mean? Like, there's a number of things that we've seen as of late, and hopefully this generation we will see more. You know, more of that. You know, get taken care of. But you also, for me, I also think, is it worth going into the next generation and buying a console to see what they have, only to be let down? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, for what I've seen so far, I'm not sold on the Xbox One, and Sony is really on a thin, like, really on a tightrope with me at this point. So it's like, no matter how many promises they make, after seeing what happened with the PS3 and taking away features, and because I bought a PS3, was it, and had an old model, the fat model, and then that burned out, you know what I mean? And they were just like, oh, it's not our fault, it's your fault. So you're not going to take any responsibility for yellow lighted that, huh? And not at all. You know what I mean? Like, those type of things always will stick with me. And it's just like, you really have like one shot here, Sony. And if you don't, then I'm just going to walk away and just play my old school games from now on. Because I know what I'm getting with that. You know? Like, it's sad. At least for me it is.
Yeah. It is, and it's the thing that kind of like squeezes out the older gamers as things go along. That the more you're switched on to stuff, kind of, the more that the abuses and the bad practices, then they get to the point where you can't cope with them. It's like, that's enough. I've had enough of this.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this anymore. And it's rough, and it's like the problem is that people like, you know, older gamers, for the benefit of everyone else, need to keep going and need to kind of keep in it. But there's only so much you can take before you go, I don't need this. I don't need this in my life.
Yeah, and
you know,
you get to a point when you start getting older, you're eventually going to want a family. Some people want families, some people don't. You know, whatever your opinion is, that's your, you know, I respect it. But, you know, if I have a family, I want to be able to teach my kids, you know, hey, this is what we played back then, and have them grow up and see, you know, every level of how gaming went, you know, and to say that, well, gaming just stopped here, you know what I mean, and just went to a standstill because of what was going on, it kind of, you know, by the time they get that age, it's going to turn them off as well. So it's kind of hard to deal with, because these, like I said, when you have developers acting like rock stars who are never around when something actually, happens, like when games are under attack, they're just like, oh, I don't care. They never say anything. You know what I mean? But if you talk about a game, then they'll talk about it up to the moon and how much they love you, even though they don't. And I don't know. It just feels like for some reason I feel like we're being just taken for a ride the entire time. Whether good or bad, but it seems as of late more bad than good. Like, I need at least one. Like I said, just give me 1 week without bad news. 1 week. That's all I'm asking, and I can't even get that. It's sad. Yeah. It really is for me.
I actually saw a thing the other day with everyone's favorite pundit Jim Sterling, and even he's going, can we not be dicks for like 1 week?
Yeah.
Can we just not? And he did a thing going like, he said a thing. I did a video a few weeks ago saying like, if the gamers stop being dicks for a week, and he got like, someone sent him a dragon tongue dildo. He's like, I will do a video playing around with this for your entertainment if you behave for a week.
Mm-hmm.
And then he was like, I got like 2 days in, someone was calling me, like someone was giving me all these like homophobic slurs and all this. I was like, this is what you do. This is why you can't have it nice. It's true. It's why we can't have nice things, because these idiots ruin it for everybody.
Yeah. And then when you call them idiots, they get mad. It's like, I don't understand how you can want to be treated like an adult, but if you don't act like one, I'm not going to treat you like one. I'm going to treat you exactly how you're acting. And it seems like there's a miscommunication barrier, because a lot of people as of late, especially like with the fighting game community, a lot of them, like I've heard once again, and we heard this with Devil May Cry, so you can tell it's unoriginal. I had to hear how much of a thug I was. I had to hear how much of a terrorist I was, and I'm just like, come on, guys.
I love that they're going to call you. I love the fact that they're going to use the same thing. Because I think I said this before in the first, and I did the first video I did. This was about the whole Devil May Cry thing, about you, about the way they were treated. And I thought it's funny the way they use the word, thug, and it's like, you mean black, don't you? That's what you mean. Yeah. What you mean is like, he's quite urban. It's like, just say what you mean. You just don't lie about it. And then you can't really say that in the fighting game community, which is a very heavy. There's a lot of black guys in the gaming community, like a huge chunk of them.
Yeah. Well, I've recently received a lot of racist mail when it comes to the fighting game community, and I'm just like, I don't say anything because I'm just like, you're just proving me right. This is what I'm talking about. Like, you can't behave just for a little bit, just because you keep proving right. Every time that a person comes along and says something very disparaging, I'm just like, yeah, thanks for proving me right. That's all that needs to be said. You're making my case for me. I don't need to say anything. And they get mad. But then when you see these videos and these guys acting a fool, I mean, just playing video games, and they're in each other's face and they're dropping the N-word every time, and they just don't care. And I'm just sitting around like, this is why companies won't sponsor you. This is why companies won't do these type of things, because you need to clean it up. And it seems like they think it's like the Wild West. It's like, no, like all you're doing is shaming yourself, to be quite honest. When you look back on this, you're going to have a problem. You're going to look at it and say, hey, yeah, I was acting like an idiot back then.
Yeah, I was a kid in an arcade. It's like, if someone had acted like that, someone would take them out to an alleyway and kick their teeth in.
Well, that's how it was here.
Yeah, they just go like, and they just wait till no one's looking. Just come over here. We've got. No, it's down. Yeah, it's down here. Have you seen my new car? Yes, it's down the alleyway here. Mm-hmm. And just leave the guy in like a pile of bin bags. And it's like, that's what'll happen.
Yeah.
You can't push people. You can only push people so far. But yeah, those guys were violent, and they were out of line to be violent. But at the same time, don't push people's buttons. You don't know what they're capable of.
And it's another thing, because a lot of people say, a lot of people think I went too far with that one video, and I'm like, yo, when you've been doing this for a number of years, and you've been getting this type of response constantly over and over again, it wasn't even about the fighting game community in general. It was just about the community, period, the way people act, and people seem to not understand that. So when you want to say you want to see me face to face, at that point, I don't care what tournament you're at. I don't care what, you know what I mean? Like, that's not an excuse for me. I don't care. Like, once you set me off, no, that's it. I don't care what you're doing at that time. I don't care none of that matters to me.
Yeah, I happened to be on YouTube when you posted that video, and I watched it and just went, oh. Like, I just wanted to see the guy's face when he saw that video, just like, oh, this is actually like a real thing, is it? Yeah, that's what happens.
That's the first video I actually watched of yours event. I was like, whoa.
He's very angry.
It also proves another point though as well. It proves, because I remember a couple months ago someone was calling me a fraud. It was like, yeah, because you won't really interact with people. You don't want to sit and argue with people. I have better things to do than sit on a computer and type battle with people. I'm not going to do that. But if you want to see me face to face, that's fine. And that's what I tried to prove. I don't want to hear, like I said, when you call somebody out, like if I called somebody out right now, I would have to come to them. That's just protocol. And you know what I mean? Whenever they're ready. But don't tell me I want to have a face-to-face with you after calling me a bunch of names and carrying on. First off, you had to go to a site, you know, a site somewhere else to go talk about me because you had to go complain about me. You know what I mean? And then you want to say, oh, well, I'll be here. So if you show up, I don't know. First off, I'm not going by your rules. I wasn't even in the state when he made the challenge. I was in Jersey. I was out with my family. So it was like to hear that when I'm out with my family, it's like, there's going to be a problem there. Over video games? Yeah. And at that point, it's beyond video games. But people don't see that. And people don't want to hear it. So let them have their opinions. That's why I took the week off. I was like, you know what? I don't care. I was like, let them say what they want to say at this point. None of them are doing what I'm doing. Like, I literally have 1,432 pieces of email I still have to go through. News, complaints, and I'm sure there's a lot of threats in there too. And then people complain about me saying, well, you don't really read the articles when you're posting. Do you realize how many articles I have to read in order to get this stuff together? Like, people don't put that into account at all.
Yeah, I suppose it's not only that, but I mean, I know from the same for myself that not only just seeing that one article, you've then got to look for get the perspective of it. What is it actually? Is it a decent article? Is there another point of view that means that article's a load of trash? Because you do get those things where someone says something and you go, that's not what this article's saying. The headline's just a lie.
Yeah, and they need views. Sometimes it's troll bait, you know. But when people sit here and say, "Oh, it's not the players' attitudes that's the problem, it's the cameras," I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like, no, I'm going to call you on that every time. Like, no, it is the players' problems. I'm not trying to hear because cameras are there. Just because cameras aren't there, or if they're, it doesn't mean that the problem's going away. It still needs to be cleaned up.
Isn't that the equivalent of going, oh yeah, but they're immature, so if you're going to watch them, they are going to do something stupid. It's like, well, then you've just admitted it. You've just admitted to the fact that they're too immature to be on camera. Yeah. If it's the camera's fault, then they can't handle that level of exposure. And
here's the thing: when those people see how they acted and they see the number of views, the number of hits, they're going to do it again because that's what they get, because they know people are going to tune in for the next time. That's the problem, you know. I'm not trying to blame the gamers on that one. If anything, I'm going to blame the coordinators. I'm going to blame the people who are in charge because they're letting this go. You know?
Yeah, they want the drama. They don't want to be mature and say, look, I know you guys want the drama, but we're going to control the drama to an extent. That's why with like professional wrestling and stuff like that, they have these they always bring in like a network executive to be the bad guy and stuff, because they have like, oh, it's the man's trying to stop us from fighting. Ooh, and it's like, but that's exactly what it is. That's how that excitement gets manufactured.
Didn't they
just let people? What kind of storylines would they be? What kind of boxing match would it be? If someone said, I challenge you right now, bang, fight over, they'd be like, that's the most, there's no hype, there's no excitement, there's no nothing. That's how these big competitions happen.
Didn't they have a guy?
You need a bit of aggravation, yeah, but you need healthy competition, not like destructive competition that ruins it for everybody.
Yeah, and like I said, when they were telling me, when the guy was telling me yesterday, I was at the baseball game. Like I said, the guy was in his face while he was playing. Like I said, when Black Brown was playing in Jersey, and the guy's in his face while he's playing video games. He's just like, really? Like, you got to be kidding me? Like, because in real life, it doesn't happen that way. And it seems like a lot of people don't understand it because they watch so many things online. And to say that people that only are in the fighting game community, and they said this, you know, because these are stupid statements. You're not part of the fighting game community unless you're at a lot of these tournaments. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's about 99% of the fighting game community aren't at the tournaments. A lot of them are playing online, and a lot of them are on websites. That's what it is. No, not 100% of the fighting game community is never going to show up to a tournament, no matter how big the tournament is. It's not going to happen.
And it's a global thing now. Online gaming is a global thing. You can't just say, well, unless you live in my city, unless you can get to the one place I'm doing, it's like then you're part of this. Then you do this. Like, that's bullshit. There's people all over the world who do this.
And and that's the thing. The network. They said the companies want to keep you on their network because they've pretty much taken away arcades from us, so you can't even have a human interaction anymore. You know, they want to keep you on the network. They want to keep you sitting down and pretty much on your ass and playing on their network because that tallies up to their money or their stocks or whatever. That's what it comes down to. And gamers aren't thinking about that when they're doing it. They're just saying, "Give me my game. I want to play." That's what they're thinking. You know.
I find it like the saddest thing in this day and age that like the every time I see this meme, it makes me want to die. And it's from the Futurama, the Fry with the "shut up and take my money." I'm like, that's like that whole point is a joke about how stupid people are, and they use it like as an excited, "Yeah, I'm gonna buy this stuff." Like, you're admitting to be an idiot. That's like you going, "I'm so stupid. Just take my money."
Yeah.
That's the whole point of Fry in that show. He's a dumbass. He's like, if you think he's being great, that's like going, "Yeah, I can. I'm suave. I'm like Zach Brannigan." Yeah, great.
Champagne, anyone?
Lure fuck.
Champagne, anyone? It's champagne. Oh god.
Just went off the air, which said last episode was last night, which was pretty sad. Yeah, Futurama. So, again, I should say, because how many times have been canceled now and they've come back? So, but yeah, it seems like fanboys everywhere don't understand, regardless what game you like or what genre you like. Because I've been told before, when I was doing game videos, they were like, "You're not really a gamer." Now it's come down to, "You're not really a gamer for this genre." I'm like, "Ah, come on, like, come on, like, yeah, like this is what they do."
You don't know.
Like, and you totally can't win with fanboys, because I mean I did just an my impressions on The Last of Us, which I did enjoy, and I said it has some fundamental flaws, and I think the AI is flawed. I think some of the mechanics are flawed. I think it's too like they force you to act a certain way in certain areas, but I did enjoy it. The story's good. The graphics did glitch out now and again. The sound glitched out once or twice, but not badly. But generally, it was a really good game. And then someone was like, "It's still a 10 out of 10," and I was like,
No.
"Why?" Well, because even though it's got faults, it's still great. And I was like, "That's why it's like maybe an 8, maybe a 9, but it's got faults." And they're like, "It's perfect." And then it was Hardcore Violence came on there because he did a massive review of it, like an hour or so long, like break the whole game down. And he came in and he was like, "That's not true. Like here's an argument I've got, like an hour-long argument why there's problems with it. It can't be a 10." And they're like, "It is a 10 because it's really good, even though it's got faults." I was like, "Why is that a 10? How can you do that?" You go, "It's perfect." Why? Because I like it.
It's supposed to be perfect, yeah. And we haven't seen a 10 in so long. You know what I mean? And me personally, I wouldn't give any game that, because every game has a flaw or like, I know fanboys gonna jump me on for this one. Final Fantasy VII, not a 10. Not a 10.
Boom.
I know everything's gonna explode now. I know.
I to be honest, I prefer 6. I do. It's a more old school kind of. It's the old school JRPGs because they don't do many of them anymore. And I imagine there's a lot on Steam now.
Yeah.
With the Cthulhu Saves the World, stuff like that. There's kind of old school JRPGs, which is nice. But yeah, I mean, it fundamentally. I think the problem is with Final Fantasy VII is like it fundamentally changed how JRPGs were done. Yeah. So when it came out first, it was like, "Wow, this is a shocker. This is really good." And then you're like, "Oh, now everything's like this." Yeah. In hindsight, it's not so great. It's still good, but you know, it's like it is. It's a good game. It's not a 10. It was innovative, and it had one of the best scenes. Had one of the most emotional scenes of any game ever.
Yeah.
I'm not going to issue a spoiler alert on this one, but when Aelith dies, it's like a whoa, and the fact that she doesn't come back and there's no returning her at all.
And you know, a lot of people have had so many conspiracy theories online about that. They're saying that she really didn't die first. Sephiroth didn't kill her. Cloud actually killed her because the sword didn't hit a major artery, and when he pulled out the sword, it was fine, but she could have been saved if Cloud wouldn't have put her in the water. Like, there's so many theories out there. And I'm
I
just
said
like,
that because there wasn't any blood on the sword. Because that was like animation.
It's like a lot of people come out with theories, and I'm just like, you know what? Like, she's dead. Yeah, she's dead. He killed her. Just let it go. Like, but they'll fight to the end for it.
I get that they did it in the was it Advent Children, where they kind of brought back that she's a spirit and part of the earth and everything. Yeah, all fine. And that's kind of like, yeah, fine. She didn't really die. She's alive in spirit. Blah blah. But yeah, but she's still dead. She is dead.
Why is she
and
dead
that
though?
was a good, shocking moment. I liked that. That's a moment where I felt the same way. Did you play Baldur's Gate 2?
No, actually, no. I still have that here. Actually, I haven't played it yet.
There's a character. There's a character, and I won't give anything away. But there's a character who is really valuable to you throughout the game, and then all of a sudden they betray you, and you're forced to kill them, and that's it. They're dead. They're gone.
Sounds like
You've been
Jedi
spending, like,
Academy
10,
to
20
me.
hours leveling them up and sorting it all out, and then like you have to kill them. Like, whoa.
Yeah, like
And that's a really good like story twist. I like that. There's not many games. If I can only, I mean, that's only really the two off the top of my head I can think of that have those kind of like big shocking twists.
There's not many. I mean, even Resistance 2, like that's for this generation. Resistance 2, the way they did Hail, like at the end of it, it was like, okay, shocker, what happens? You know, and then you found Resistance 3. It was like, really? That's how you left us? It was like, all right, you know what? Yeah, I'm done. Like it was just really.
It's like the whole kind of Halo 2 thing as well. I'm gonna finish the fight and now buy an Xbox 360.
Ta-da!
You son of a bitch.
It seems like games, they have a good job of almost like a roller coaster. They can take you up, but they don't know how to take you back down. They keep you excited. They bring you back up. And it seems like with Infamous coming up, like Infamous 1 and 2, I loved Infamous 1 and 2. Loved it. Yeah, the story is a little out there, you know, but I still loved it for what it was. You know, it's like, hey, I'm a superhero. I'm doing all this stuff, or a supervillain. I can do whatever I want, you know? But then it was like, now that the second Son is coming out, I'm just like, yeah, no thanks. It's all right.
And didn't they? I can't remember now. Is it not that 2 it actually starts on the premise that you did the good ending?
No, yeah.
Oh, no.
2 starts off as if you did the good ending.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, the Beast comes along. And it's just like, and then it starts you right in the battle of the Beast right there on the docks. So it was like, or on the pier. So it was interesting the way they did things. And that's what Sucker Punch said. With 3, they said that they're going by the good ending of Infamous 2. And I'm like, you know, you could have did something different and went by the bad ending just to see how it goes. You know, you don't have to, because you gave us the good ending, you already did that. Switch it up, but they didn't do that.
And they did that with Prototype, which was quite nice. They made Alex Mercer, you know, they started off with 2, and he's a psycho. They didn't end it with he became a messiah. No, he's just eating people and trying to take over the world. And I like that the plot twist at the start was kind of like, oh, is he actually a good guy? No, is he a bad guy? Is he a good guy? Oh no, he is actually a bad guy.
He's a bit of a dick, actually.
There's no spoilers needed there as well, because let's face it, it's in the first like hour of the game you find out he's definitely a bad guy. But you start off going like, oh, maybe he's a good guy. No.
It seems like game developers don't know what they want to do, and then when you have a franchise character, they screw them. Like as far as I'm concerned, with Infamous, Cole was a franchise character. You made 2 games for him. People liked them. I mean, hell, gamers were arguing about the character design change in Infamous 2 before they changed them back because they didn't like the way Cole looked. You know what I mean? Okay, franchise character. It's displayed right there. So, as far as I'm concerned, okay, that's what you get. Now, when you have a franchise character, you try to stretch it out, not as much as you possibly can before it gets stale, but you still work with them. Uncharted, Nate Drake. You know what I mean? Franchise character. They know what they're doing with Nate. It seems like I haven't finished Uncharted 3 yet, so I don't know what happens. Okay, but I mean, from Uncharted 1 and 2, even though we all know it's over the top, that's what the game is. Indiana Jones. I mean, a lot of people say it's Tomb Raider. It's Indiana Jones. That's all it is.
And let's face it, Tomb Raider is Indiana Jones. That's where it pretty much comes from.
Chris, I think your camera's fucked up. Or...
Oh, I reset it. Did it not?
No.
I'll do it again. Nice. This is like the one time I haven't used an Ethernet cable as well. This has got a really high speed Wi-Fi and I don't get what it's doing it.
I'll just make this fly around the screen until you're back up.
So yeah, it just seems like franchise characters these days don't mean as much. You know, they try to shock and awe you, and it's like if you have to make a case for shock and awe, you've kind of written yourself into a corner. That's what it feels like with the characters. So, like for me, Infamous, I won't worry about Infamous Second Son. I'm not worried about it. Unless Cole shows back up, I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, they've gone the kind of the way that seems really popular with take an established franchise and then go for an angsty teen to entice the kids.
Yeah, it's
there
sad.
you go, standard, unfortunately. Oh well, for a bit of fun, I've got up here just the launch lineup of the Xbox and the PS4 for their exclusive games.
Okay.
I'm just going to fire these off just to see what thoughts we've got on them, because I just went through them earlier and I was like, this is it. I mean, there's a lot of third-party games coming out at the same time, but these are, you know, between them, who really? Because most of those games they're coming to both, so who really cares from that perspective? When it comes to like what are you gonna buy one or the other? I mean, I'm not sure why it's an either or choice, but it seems to be. I don't know why. I'll be sticking with my PC for a while. But okay, so on the Xbox, we've got Crimson Dragon, which could be alright. I don't know. I've not seen from E3. It had no sound. Did you see that on E3? They had like no sound, no effects, nothing, and just people just going, "Ooh," like journalist professionals going, "Ooh." Like, you guys are paid to be here. That's hilarious. They were just trolling everybody. And yeah, well, they've got Dead Rising 3 as well, which I don't know. Oh, Sam, you son of a bitch! I've seen we just put up on the feed.
I have to. I'm sorry. It's
Yeah,
just
Dead
because.
Rising 3 could be interesting, but it's going in a bad direction for me. I don't know whether it's. They've said that it's still going to be like the other ones were, but I don't know. Apparently, Inafune said that's not how I'd have done it. That's a nice way to just go. Fuck you, Capcom.
Yep. Yeah.
It's like the man who created Dead Rising, and also I saw a thing today that the developers who made that have said this is the hardest Dead Rising game we've ever made. And we're like, you only made 2. You've made Dead Rising 2, and like Case West, and I can't remember the other one was Case North, I think Case West, and then the off the record thing. It's like, well, that's only Dead Rising 2 and DLC. That's it. You've made one game. Don't pretend like you've made all the games in the series. You didn't make the original.
I think the whole display's gone awry.
Has it?
Yeah. That's why I put you over, because your camera's not, and then because that main event's camera's off.
Alright, you guys actually hearing us at least?
Yeah, they're hearing us, so I'm just gonna put something over them. If
Okay, maybe not the meme you made of me with my eyes shut, stoned.
you
That's the problem I found out whenever I now started editing some of like the beginning and end of my videos before I put them up. I found that just before I speak, I shut my eyes. It's really annoying because if it freezes, I've just got that expression. That's the expression I end up having.
Okay.
Classy.
Okay, we'll wait for the audio just to be like, okay, say something, anybody.
Okay, so there wasn't 3.
It's good.
Got the Fighter Within, which is a Connect only game. You guys seen much of that? Looks. It's a Connect fighting game. I'm not expecting much for it.
Neither am I.
Seems to be the biggest thing of like the new generation is to make last generation's tech work.
Yeah.
That seems to be it. Like, wow, we're gonna make the Connect, but we're gonna make the Connect actually work. Okay.
Instead of just improving it this generation, but yeah.
And also, Forza 5 as well. Well, Forza, not really. Again, not too fast with Forza.
Let the ghost driver take over your world.
Oh, the drive. No, that's not. Is it the Drivatar or was that from
Drivatar? Yeah, it's Drivatar.
Drivatar.
Yeah, what was it? They said that you'll have to buy the ending regardless for Forza if you want to finish the game. There was some type of article about it. About you'll have to buy the game, but then later you're going to have to buy DLC to finish the game.
That's annoying.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I have to dig back up the link to see if I can find it again. But yeah, people were making a big deal about it, and then other people were like, "Well, it's Forza, it's not a big deal," and everyone was like, "Okay, yeah, you're right, it's Forza." So like, no one really cared. Like,
it's Forza. It's going to be Forza. That's the thing. It's you know it's going to be a high fidelity racer. That's yeah. Killer Instinct. That one's going to divide everybody.
oh God.
I don't know, and I don't see the reason to be hyped for a game when I've got no reason to. And I know Max keeps telling me that Maximin did a video saying why it's going to be brilliant, but I haven't played it. I'm not going to have faith that is it Double Helix?
It's not.
Yeah.
Seeing things and playing old Killer Instinct, which Super Nintendo version I played in the arcades for years. It doesn't look like Killer Instinct. Number one, I understand there's different character designs and shading, but the things that we know now, Chief Thunder being a grappler, no, not going to work. Number one. Number two, to have a season 2 coming out and then saying that there's a possibility that they can take away your older characters that you already have, no thanks. I'm good.
Do you think they'll finally sort out the skeleton guy?
Final?
Yeah.
The game, I just don't think. I understand if it's like a free-to-play type thing, but to say that there's going to be a season 2, and then if that does well, there'll be a season 3. It really is a setup just for milk. It just is. And you shouldn't have that for a fighting game. But it seems like this is what we've come down to with fighting games these days. I mean, if Max has that opinion, that's his opinion. That's fine. But, it's not law. You know what I mean? His word isn't God. As far as I'm concerned, I'm staying as far away from Killer Instinct as possible. That's just me, though.
especially if it's going to be an exclusive, and well, right now I'm not looking to get an Xbox One anytime soon.
Exactly.
It's not on my radar right now. There's lots of good games out there. Most of the games I want on the Xbox One are on PC anyway.
Or you can just join the master race like me.
Yep. Also got there's Lococycle, which is a bike racing combat game where I think your bike's a robot, which it could be fun. It's a live game, it's an arcade game. And Peggle too. Wow, Peggle. I like Peggle.
Peggle's intense.
That was hilarious at E3 when they came out and they were like, "We're making Peggle too!" And everyone was like, "Yay!" I quite liked Peggle. It was okay. Not so sure why everyone's excited. It's fine. I enjoyed playing Peggle. It's a fun game. Got it on my 360. So it's fun. I've also had some time enjoy playing Bookworm. I'm not going to be jumping up and down, going yay. It's like Scrabble with like a word search.
As if I wasn't already dumb enough.
And okay, we'll move on to the PS4. Oh, this one's going to be interesting. Well, first up, we've got Blacklight Retribution, which is going to be free to play. I like that they've got some free to plays on there on launch day. That's positive. We've got Blacklight Retribution, which DCUO.
Don't even get me started on these. Hey, they haven't learned. And people still message me over DCUO and saying they haven't fixed the problems, and there's still bugs, and there's a number of things that they keep taking money, and then they're not refunding people because they're like emptying accounts. Like, I get a number of messages about DCUO still. It's like, man, I haven't talked about DCUO in so long. This is what people complain about, and to bring it to the next generation, they're only lose DLC to death.
I never actually. I got it for free on PS Plus on the PS3, and I downloaded it all, and then it was like 12-hour wait to connect to the servers, and I just went, no,
nope,
and just turned it off. That's as far as I got with it. That's all there is to it. I was like, no.
The game has so many problems when it comes to mechanics, and people just don't understand. When you're just flying around and you're punching people, it does nothing. Like, that gets boring. Like, you need some type of mechanics. You need some team-ups. You need, if this is going to be a comic book game, you need to really do your research. And it seems like a lot of them haven't done that. It just seems like they just think they keep throwing the same things out. Oh, we can flesh out some stories. But the actual gameplay itself is the same thing over and over. They don't give you anything to look forward to, like, say, Final Fantasy XI did, where you can do team-ups and not have to worry about that thing. And with Final Fantasy XI, I'm not understanding why hasn't that gone free to play yet? That game is like you have Final Fantasy 14 now. Like, it's time to let one of them go.
And I like that they've said with Final Fantasy 4 they were giving people like we'll extend the free week because you can't log in. It's a shame because apparently the game's really good, but people can't get on the game. And now they're sort of like, you Westerners in your servers, sorry.
That's Square for you, but Square still thinks they're on up and up when it comes to Final Fantasy. So, okay, Square.
Yeah, I mean, it sells huge. It's huge in Japan, and it's a lot of people. It seems to be kind of like it's falling off a bit, and people's like more and more people each game are kind of dropping off the excitement from it. And it's a shame because it's a long-standing franchise. It's got a lot of history to it, and it's one of those series. It's one of those like Japanese series. It's like universally known. Like in a way that Fire Emblem isn't really. Yeah, it got big on the 3DS, but I mean, how many people really? Or the Tales games, granted, Zillia's got a lot of press, and Vesperia was quite big, but really, is it anywhere near Final Fantasy? I don't think so. In like
Western problem though, with they're almost like Capcom. Like, you have a number of franchises under your belt, and you're not doing anything with them. Like, Vagrant Story should have clearly by now had a sequel. Parasite Eve should have an adequate sequel. And for anyone knows what I'm talking about, Parasite Eve 2, nothing but Resident Evil.
And Third Birthday. Is it Third Birthday?
Yeah. Which was like, are you kidding me? Like it needs an adequate sequel, and Square has still not worked on that. There's a number of Square games that are great, especially back in the day, early 2000s, that just didn't get a fair shake. And it's sad to see that they only focused on Final Fantasy. I'm still waiting for another Chrono. I'm still waiting.
I want to see the Bouncer too.
Another Bouncer.
I like the Bouncer. That was good. It was like old school kind of like Final Fight style. It was good, branching paths and stuff. It was pretty good for a PS2 game.
I mean, you got Legend of another Legend, I guess, of a Legaia they could do. I mean, there's a number of them that they could do, and they just seem like they won't do anything. Like they can keep making up stories for Final Fantasy, but they can't keep making up stories for all these other franchises. So, and then all they're worried about is graphics anyway these days.
Yeah, it's a thing, especially because they're still so successful in Japan. Maybe that's why they're kind of like they're kind of confused as to why they're not doing so well in the West. Because they'll release Final Fantasy game, it'll sell like ridiculous amounts in Japan. They know that, and pretty much any RPG they do, then it will sell huge. And then over here, they'll stick 100 million behind Tomb Raider, and then they'll be surprised they don't sell those and go, yeah, you spent too much. Who's your accountant? Where's your finance team? Who budgeted your R&D? You screwed up. Like, you badly budgeted that.
And for this new Final Fantasy to take forever to come out, it's been in the making for years and years. I mean, I understand that waiting for a game for a certain amount of time is a good thing, but anybody who witnessed when they did Lunar Superstar Story and had to wait and wait and wait, it was like that type of wait. That was a good wait. You know what I mean? Because we waited for so long for the localization for it. But now, like what Square is doing, this next game, you know, was it 15? I mean, it was used to be Versus, now it's 15.
Yeah.
It better blow the doors off of everything.
Yeah. I've been ever since I first saw it. I was hoping for like to take some of the things from Kingdom Hearts and turn it into a more mature RPG and have an action RPG with that kind of like pedigree. I was like, oh please! When I first saw it, I didn't think. Please don't Duke Nukem me. Don't Duke Nukem me. Don't like make me wait for like over a decade and then go, oh, we got dick jokes, great.
Dick jokes.
Yeah, we know Sam loves dick jokes, but like, oh, it's such a shame because the sad thing is that game probably, if it wasn't Duke Nukem, it would have been way better received. It wasn't. But people were the hype for it, and that's the problem with 15. You're gonna have that, I think. Because everyone's been hyped for it. Was it since 2006 or 7? It was like meant to be an early PS3 title, and it's nowhere to be. Well, we might get it in 2014 or 15, maybe 16. I don't know. I don't know. Square's just suffering from the same Capcom problem, or I should say Capcom is suffering from the Square problem. But it just seems like these companies they don't know how to just put out variety. And it's